Welcome in, y'all, to our tiny week ahead reading. As usual, we have three piles to pick from. This week, we have some lyrics for you to choose from. So pick a card, pick the lyrics that resonate with you, and I'll see you in your reading. Welcome in, pile one, to your week ahead reading. Let's get into the energy of your week. So, starting with the lyric that you chose, we have like the wind, I'm free, going places, being things I want to be. Then you have the Eight of Wands. So, breaking down these two things, I feel like the energy of your week, there's definitely movement. You have the wind and the lyrics, you have the movement and the wings and the bird and the Eight of Wands. So there's like action in your week. It feels like you're doing things, you're going places, you're trying to do things and go places. You're trying to do things that you want to do more specifically. Like it's like it feels like things that make you feel independent or things that align with your likes and goals, not so much that you're not doing it with other people, but it just feels like it's just about you and what you're kind of focusing on, right? The other thing that I kind of got from the energy of this week is that you may need to remind yourself what you're doing. We talk about this in the September monthly reading. If you haven't listened to that, definitely go listen to that. There's a way in which some of us are in the middle of our journey right now. And if you can see in this card, they're in the middle of their journey, right? So you have to remind yourself of your goals so that you can continue to persevere despite obstacles, despite temptations, despite things that may stop you from what you're trying to progress to or how you're trying to move. There's leadership energy in this week. In this card, the story that relates to this card, this is the Tarot of the Divine deck, and there's a companion book that goes with this deck. If you listen to the fairy tale episodes I do every month, you already know that. But the story that goes with this, I don't remember the whole story, but I know that this bird is bringing fire to the rest of the community. So there's a leadership aspect of this week of you leading the charge on something, or you standing up and being the one to make the initiative or to get things done in some way, whether it's like a group activity because we had the community in this story, or whether you're taking initiative on something that you've been thinking about and like taking the charge on that. Let's pull a few more cards from the Tarot of the Divine to see some more about the energy of your week. Anything else for pile one? Oh, put that there. Anything else? So the cards we got for this week outside of the Eight of Wands are the Queen of Cups, the Star reversed, and the Knight of Wands. I think that there's an emotionality to the energy of this week. You may be like sussing through some of the things that you feel, or like getting beyond the surface of your emotions. There may be ways that you are more intuitive this week. There may be ways that you're more receptive to things this week. The energy of the Star card reverse tells me that there may be some people dealing with burnout this week, where we have the energy of the Eight of Wands and then the Knight of Wands flanking the Star. So be careful of doing too much. There may be situations where you don't get something. Like there may be energy this week where you may not receive something that you wanted to receive, or like something may not go your way. You may feel like an opportunity was taken away from you somehow. So that may be something that happens this week, but don't be despondent by it, because again, the very next card you have is like moving forward. So if that is the case and something does happen this week where um, an opportunity is taken away from you, or things don't go the way that you think they are, or it doesn't pan out in the way that you hoped that it would, It feels like there's there's something in the lesson to take, but that the overall lesson is to keep going, keep fighting, keep moving, keep striving for whatever it is that you're going for. Because in the first card, we have this bird holding the torch, going towards going, and then we have in the Knight of Wands, the girl who again is holding a torch. There's fire behind her. I think those are her wings, and she is actionably moving toward where she's going. So we have action and momentum and movement flanking the energy of this week. Um, like I said before, there's action and movement, so there definitely may be people traveling this week. Um, there's also two lambs in this pull. We have the lamb here and the star card, and the lamb in the corner and the Knight of Wands. So lamb to me brings in like being gentle, softness, nurturing energy. So that may also be like on the fringes of your week, or and coming in some aspect of your week, you may need to be comforted or need nurturing if something doesn't pan out. Um, you may be encouraged to keep going with that nurturing. Even if this isn't the exact situation, there may be a nurturing aspect that's helping you to persevere this week or to keep moving through. So, this is what I'm getting for the energy of your week, pile one. Let's get into some specific things that may happen. So, starting with the card you already had for pile one for specific things that would happen this week, we have surrender fear. Let go the fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment. Focus on solutions and celebrate every baby step forward. Like I said in the beginning of the energy, we have a lot of movement this week. We have things that you're really focused on, things that you're really trying to do. And if you do have a situation where you have setbacks or things don't go your way, it definitely may bring up fear. It may make you feel like it may never happen, or it's not going to happen, or the work you're doing is for no reason, or something like that. um Sorry, I had a thought and then it went out of my head. The other thing that the fear makes me think of is where you talked about with the Queen of Cups that we may be like sussing through some emotional aspects this week, like getting to the heart of our feelings or the root of the things that we feel. And so fear may be one of those emotions that comes up that we're working through this week that we need to get to the root of. Let's pull some more cards and see some more specific things that may happen this week. I'm using the power of surrender cards this week for this part. Okay. Well, that was real easy. Okay. Surrender to receiving support and love. We literally just talked about the nurturing, right? So this week, you may want to call on people to help you, call on people to just big you up, call on people to give you hugs if you need a hug, give you words of affirmation, kindness, ideas, just to listen to you if you need to vent, like whatever it is. This week, there may be specific instances that you need to reach out to other people. This may also mean that there may be specific instances that people are reaching out to you and looking for nurturing and love and affirmations, and that you need to sit in that gentler side of yourself, like we were talking about with the lamb, especially if you're somebody that is not normally like more nurturing or gentle, and or if you've been so focused on what you're doing that you don't have the space to give to this person. It's like they need this right now, and if you are somebody that considers yourself their support system, then you need to carve out time to be able to give them that. And maybe it's not at the moment that they need it, but you know that they need that, so then it needs to be a priority to you to put in that time and space for them. We then have surrender your ego. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read the thing from this one. Allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off you and simultaneously nurture you. Okay. Surrender your ego. Cultivate gratitude. Be of service to others and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will go further. Excuse me, but humility will further your goals. Again, we talked about what you're doing this week. People having projects, people trying to get shit done, people trying to be, more independent or doing whatever it is that they're trying to do or whatever. And within that, we need to be mindful of, like, yes, you can do whatever you want to do and sit in a space of self, and it should not be in direct harm to anybody else. It should not put anybody in a space where you have to like put them down. um if that is a part of what you're trying to do, I might reconsider what you're doing. You know what I mean? Also, within what we're doing, remembering the goals. And so if your goal of what you're doing is just to make a whole bunch of money and da 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 da, then it's out of alignment. If your goal is just to make sure that you are taken care of and it's not about anybody else within what you're working on or how you're trying to move, then that's not in alignment. You know what I mean? So it's okay if that happens. This is information, right? We're given this card because it may come up this week. So if it comes up, if you move in that way, recognize it, correct it. You know what I mean? Before you move in that way, recognize it and be mindful of what you're giving off or how you're moving and how you can do it differently. Okay. We then have surrender denial. Accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. Then you can clearly see and make the best decisions. Like I said, there may be obstacles this week. There may be things that get in your way. There may be situations where um, you don't see the forest from the trees in a sense, or there may be situations where, like I said, it may not go exactly the way that you panned it out to go, and that's okay. There's a lesson in that. And so part of the lesson is to be able to see why it happened so that you can move forward in a more informed way and not make either that mistake that you made before, or to you know make a move that is actually more, I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but if you can see a situation for what it is, then you're more able, and without emotion attached necessarily, then you're more able to know the right steps to actually take going forward. The last card we have is surrender to the wisdom of your body. Listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. I feel like the specific things that are happening this week are just like validating the energies that we had for this week, because we talked about the intuition and you being more intuitive, or you being more sensitive to energies. And so if you are starting new things or working with people or things like that, then this is part of what you can use to help you know what the steps are that you need to take, right? Also, surrendering to the wisdom of your body brings up for me the fear that we were talking about, and the emotions that may come up this week, and that you may feel those things in your body. And so, like, if you feel specific things in specific parts of your body can relate to specific emotions. So it may be imperative for you to look that up so that you can start to pinpoint, if you can't pinpoint it yourself, what you're feeling, and where it's coming from, so that you can start to move through and like understand and heal those things. So these are the specific things that I have for y'all for this week. Let's get into what you need the most this week. For this part of the reading, I am using the Trust Your Vibes deck. So we are going to get what you most need this week. We're going to take these two. Feed your spirit, call on your joy guides. So, like the lyric you got said, you just want to be free. You want to go places and do things that you want to do, or be who you want to be. And for me, feeding your spirit is in alignment with that, doing things that bring you joy, adding to the call in your joy guides energy. It just feels like part of this week, and what you need the most is, especially if you are in a space of being busy or doing a lot or really focused on whatever you're doing, is to feed yourself, right? Bring in things that make you feel relaxed, that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel nurtured, people that make you feel nurtured, situations, whatever it is, things that make you feel happy and take you out of the space of whatever you're doing, and can kind of transport you into just where you are in the present. I want to read what the book says about these cards, because I really love these Sonia Choquette cards, and I think that the breakdown is always really good. Just as you must feed your body, you must also feed your spirit. It makes you stronger, energized, and more powerful. Most people are unaware of what feeds their spirit, but even if they know, they neglect to follow through. Don't be guilty of this. Feeding your spirit comes from choosing experiences that empower you and help you feel more authentic, spontaneous, and joyfully alive. Your spirit's food is personal. Only you know what your spirit hungers for. My spirit, for example, is fed by exercise, dancing, time with my children, good coffee, and walks with my husband. What feeds another may be a run on the beach, cooking, singing, or sleeping on a down pillow. I love me a good cold pillow, baby. Anyway, think about your spirit's diet. The more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. And when your spirit is strong, your vibes are loud and clear. Don't be a psychic anorexic. Feed your spirit every day. So that is what we got for Feed Your Spirit. Y'all see why I'm reading these now. Spirit, psychic anorexic, like, hello? Yeah, it's good. Okay. Call on your joy guides. Your situation at the moment may feel critical, but don't allow it to become too serious or you'll lose your way. Remember, on a soul level, this too shall pass, and it will pass much easier with the help of joy guides to lighten the mood and elevate your vibration so that you can move on to better times. Learn to recognize when your joy guides are on the scene. They like to play games and sometimes practical jokes with you to keep you from taking things too personally. They're good at getting your attention with their antics. They may hide your keys, move your things, and steal one of your socks out of the dryer. Though, I mean, they call them joy guides. The sock stealers are the gnomes. That's a whole nother conversation. If you've watched that South Park episode, anyway, whatever. Are the joy guides capturing your attention? Where or how are they getting you to relax a little and laugh at yourself? Let them. So, all in all, you need to bring in joy. You definitely need to be out and be free and be who you want to be. Okay. So, bring some of this into your week. This is what I got for y'all for pile one. Thank y'all so much for reading with me. If you would like your own reading, book at wildheartbotanica.com. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know how the pile was for you. Let me know how your week is. Definitely check out our September monthly reading and our fairy tale reading that just came out for September's fairy tales. And if you had another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much for reading with me. I will see you in the next reading. Welcome in pile two to your week ahead reading. Let's get into your energy. So, starting with your lyric. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Kuta. Okay. And the card that you chose for this week is the Two of Swords. So, the energy for your week, starting with the Two of Swords, I feel like the lyric and the song, excuse me, the lyric and the card, unlike pile one, they don't necessarily go together. But for me, and maybe we'll see as we pull more cards, it may, come up. But for me, it's more about Kendrick Lamar, because the energy of your week is so meditative. Like there's an energy of stillness and silence and meditation and coming into yourself and like deep thought and connection. And I think that Kendrick Lamar embodies that, right? Like he went to a whole ass temple in India, I believe it was, for months and did a silent retreat. You know what I mean? So perfect person in terms of artists for what you got going on this week. Like I said, the energy just feels contemplative. It feels quiet. It feels like you're supposed to come into yourself. It feels like you're not necessarily going out, but going in. It doesn't have anything to do with other people, really. It has more to do with you and what you want to do next, what you need to focus on, what you are focused on, what you want to do. Like just going inside and figuring shit out before you like uncross your arms and go do whatever you're about to do with them. These swords, maybe possibly slay this beast, dragon, Loch Ness like beast in the back. Who knows, right? Um, but that's kind of the energy that I'm getting from this card and why I think you got this lyric to have you pay attention. So let's get some more cards to see some more of the energy of your week. We are using the Tarot of the Divine. Okay. Oh, a lot of swords. Okay. So the energy of this week, the thought, the thought processing that you got going on this week, it's very evident, right? You're either thinking about something specific or just um, like planning, processing, calculating your next moves kind of thing. The swords have to do with um, thinking and thought and communication. So those may be aspects of your week, but even still, we have all of these cards are kind of individual, right? We have an individual here, we have one person here, we have one person here. So, like I said, I feel like the energy of this week is more about you and going inside and planning and critical thinking and um, it's real analytical. The other thing that comes up for me in terms of energy is the energy of having to decide or make decisions on something because you have the Justice card and the Two of Swords. So there may be the energy this week of you having to sit down on a specific topic that you're making a decision on, or weighing out your options, or having to decide what to do. And part of the energy that comes with this is being impartial and not having your emotions come into play with what you're doing, but just making decisions based off facts and outcome and intention. The last thing that comes up for me is, like I said, the energy of meditation, which I brought up in the beginning. The Four of Swords is a card of like passivity, it's a card of um, being made still. It is also a card of meditation. So there's definitely this aspect of like whatever you're doing this week, it's not a time to move. It's not a time to act on whatever you're making decisions on necessarily, especially if you don't have to. It's more so about deciding this week, or thinking about what you're doing, or planning what you're doing, or like researching, critical thinking. It's very mercurial, right? But it's not giving movement. Everyone is standing still, everyone is in place. And so that says to me that, whatever you're doing this week, you may need to stay in place, or stay, in your house and think about the shit, or, be with yourself in some aspects where you can have no distractions and really like get into a place of being contemplative. So, this is what I'm getting for the energy of your week. Let's get into some more specific things that may happen this week. So, getting into the specific things that may happen this week, this is a card we already had for pile two. We have surrender to non action. So, now is the time to be still and not act. Simply breathe and focus on your own power. Let others come to you. I pulled this initially when I pulled the first cards. I did not remember that this was the card for this, but I'm sure when I pulled it, I thought to myself, that makes sense because, like I said, it's very much about stillness and solitude this week for you. So um, don't try to force things to happen. Don't try to force action or energies. Just go within and sit with yourself, sit with yourself, sit with your guides, um, sit with your intuition, like that's what we're doing. So let's get some more cards about some specific things that may happen for your week this week. Okay. Okay. So we have surrender low self esteem. You deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self esteem. So, in terms of things that may happen this week, you have a lot that you're thinking about. You may have a lot weighing on you. You may start to feel like you are overwhelmed, or like you are not enough, or you don't have the tools to do what you need to do, or whatever it is. Within thinking that, we have your very next card, surrender to miracles. Be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. So if something happens this week where you are feeling less than, or like you are not as capable as you feel like you should be, then I want you to remember that you don't have to make everything happen. There are forces outside of yourself that are moving and working things for you. There is a whole, um, book that was laid out in a sense of your life and what the fuck was going to happen. And so whatever is going to happen next is going to happen, right? And so you can sit in the idea that it can be the best thing for you, even if you're not able to figure out exactly what that's going to be. Part of what you could be doing this week in terms of the thinking that we talked about and the critical um, planning and the research could be like fixing how you think about things, fixing your perspective, adding in like new thought philosophies or affirmations or things that help build you up in places where you break you down or you allow others to break you down so that you're more able to see the miracles or the solutions. Because to me, surrender to miracles could also be when you're like sitting in a planning stage or sitting and thinking and you get an aha moment. That could also be this for me. And so part of that would be, though, building yourself up and sitting in a place of feeling not only inspired but capable and open to whatever could happen that puts you in the place that you need to be and that you want to be, so that these moments of you know um, these aha moments or these moments of genius in a sense can happen. Then you have surrender to success. You are ready to experience abundance. This is the second time you get abundance, right? You got abundance and low self esteem, and you get it here. Don't look back at previous roadblocks. That would be, to me, talking about low self esteem, right? Low self esteem could come from things that you think about yourself that aren't real, or it could come from things that happened previous that made you, doubt yourself or feel a way about your abilities or something like that. Leap into an exciting new world of possibilities. Again, you have the surrender to miracles where you have the dolphins that are leaping, and then you have them literally saying leap into exciting possibilities. And you also have the mirror in this card, and the mirror to me goes back to the low self-esteem card and how you see yourself, right? So there may be specific instances this week where these things come into play, right? Where, like I said, you have instances of low self-esteem where you have moments of genius if you allow yourself to have it, where you see success because you have an actionable plan at the end of it, or you have the solution, or you have the decision that you need to make, or you have the way out, or whatever it is that we're thinking about or we're planning this week. And so this is what I get for some of the specific things. It very much goes with what we got for the energy of this week. I think that is just there's like some therapy that we're doing with ourselves or with a therapist in a sense this week. But even if you're doing it with a therapist, you're coming back and you're doing this reflection with yourself. And there's a lot of reflection within this week. And it makes sense to me because at the time that I'm recording this, there's actually a new moon at the end of the week, a solar eclipse. So it's definitely a time of like how you see yourself, how you're looking at yourself, that's inherent to like what you're trying to do. So this is what I get for that. Let's get into our next set of cards, our last cards, which are about what you need the most this week. Okay, so pulling what you need the most this week, we are using the Trust Your Vibe cards by Sonia Choquette. Let's see what it is that you need the most this week. Name your higher self. Okay. So this makes a lot of sense to me in terms of the processing and the sitting with yourself that you're doing this week. It's a matter of like you sitting with you and the higher versions of you to get to where you're trying to go in the progression, right? And part of that, if you are not somebody who works with your higher self, or even if you are, is really like sitting with them and getting in tune and having a session. It feels like part of what you need the most this week is to have a session with your higher self. And so for some people, if you don't have a name for your higher self or you don't like really identify with them, it's time to work with that or like learn more about that and to name them. Figure out what your higher self's name is. Is it your name? Is it different than your name? Do they have a name? You know what I mean? Like this is part of what we're doing, and part of why we're doing it, like I said, is because you have so much processing and meditation that we're doing this week that the higher versions of you can help you with the miracles, with the success, with the ability to see clearly and to have clarity and to really see and weigh all of your options in a really impartial way, because they're not dealing with the same emotions um, and fears or anxieties that we are. So let me get the book. You can creatively bypass your ego and conscious mind and tap directly into your higher self by giving it a personal name, such as Tom or Betty or Michael or simply HS. The name you choose isn't important. My higher self's name is Sam. We talk regularly, and I learn a lot. I know it sounds silly, but it works. Naming your higher self makes conversations with it much more intimate and opens the door to higher vibrations and perspectives in a way of fun. And to me, they're talking about your higher self, but this could also be your guides if you work more closely with your guides. But this is like the level of yourself or a level of like guide that would be higher than ancestral. You can ask for guidance in any situation as though asking a dear and trustworthy friend for advice. You can speak to your higher self out loud, I often do, or through writing. Once it has a voice, it will freely respond whenever called upon. Ask it by name what it feels is best for you right now, and then listen as it responds. And if you're sitting in meditation, then this is definitely something to play with this week. The more specific your question, the more specific the answer. Don't let your ego block this powerful technique from accessing higher vibration. Lighten up and give your higher self a chance to speak. You'll enjoy this new perspective. So, this is what I think you need the most this week. I definitely think y'all should play with it, whether you are someone who is already tapped in with your guides or not. It may be time to have a conversation. It may be time to sit down and ask more specific questions or talk to them in a way that you don't normally talk to them. So, that is something to think about. This is what I got for y'all for this week for pile two. Definitely let me know how you like the reading, what you're feeling, how this week is treating you. Like, comment, share the reading, subscribe. If you haven't already, listen to our September monthly episode. Our fairy tale episode just came out, which we break down the cards we got for the month for the Tarot of the Divine and the fairy tales associated. So definitely listen to that. And if you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. I have two reading options. We have an eclipse reading option right now, and the eclipse season, what's happening right now, will carry through the next 6 months. So it's a reading that you definitely may want to get to just tap in and see what is the lesson, what's going to happen. So if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much for reading with me. I will see you in the next reading. Welcome in pile three to your week ahead reading. Let's get into your energy for the week. So, starting off with the lyric that you have, I tried to start but couldn't finish. I'll admit this, maybe I'm addicted. The card you have for this week is the Fool. So, get into the energy of this week. I feel like there are people who want to start things. The Fool is definitely a beginnings card. There's a way in which you want to take something that you've been thinking about, some people, and to start to do it or to put it into action or to bring it into like fruition into this life. You want to like start working on it, or you want to start doing it or something like that. It feels like there's some people who are also kind of like still dreaming about what they want to do, or like in a place of like, maybe I could do this, maybe I couldn't kind of thing. With the lyric that we have, it may be something that you wanted to do before or started before and it didn't work out for whatever reason, but you really are passionate about it. Like the I'm addicted to it makes me feel like it's something that you really want to do, something that you're really passionate about, that's something that keeps nagging you or something that keeps coming up. And so it's definitely something you should do. So that's a little bit of the energy that I get from these cards. Let me pull a few more cards and see a little bit more of the energy we get for this week. So this week we are using the Tarot of the Divine. Oh, okay. We have the Magician. Is there anything else? Okay. So again, the energy of this week with the magician, it definitely feels like there are people that want to start things. There are people that are trying to do things. Like you're taking classes, or you're trying to start a new hobby, or I know we're not in the specifics, but like this is what I'm getting. Or you're like trying to turn some kind of dream into reality. You're trying to figure out how you could start it. You're trying to figure out what tools you have at your disposal. It feels like this is like maybe a bigger dream, which is why you have the Fool and the Magician and the Lovers, which are all major arcana cards. So it's like a major theme. Like I said before, it may be something that you've been thinking about for a while, or something that keeps coming back up for you. But it's something that you're passionate about, or that's part of like your purpose kind of energy. We also have the Lovers. So the energy of it for me is like higher self related, or like I said, it has to do with like your purpose, or like what you're here to do, or things that align with like who you're supposed to be in life. Like there's this like overarching theme to whatever is happening this week. Whatever you're trying to do, you definitely have the tools available to you to do it. The Cinderella card, this is who that is on the Magician. Cinderella, she has this wand. um, this is before the fairy godmother, and this may actually be the fairy godmother, maybe, before the fairy godmother turns everything in. So it's like right before she does the magic, it's the action of the whipping up of the magic almost, or the working of the magic, right? And so, like, this is what we got this week. So there's energy of working on things this week. There's energy of getting things off the ground that you've been thinking about. There's energy of aligning with your purpose or your higher self. So it feels like some like really um not heavy, but like very big, very purposeful energy for your week. So this is what I'm getting for the energy of your week. Let's get into some specific things that may happen this week. Getting into the specific things that may happen this week, we already had a card in your pile 3. So we have Surrender to Your Soul's Path. I completely forgot that I'm like, y'all, I pull these cards and it takes me so long to do this reading, to record it. And so by the time I get to the different piles, I don't remember what cards were what, other than the cards that were on top. And it's funny to me, even though I should remember, I don't. Anyway, Surrender to Your Soul's Path. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. Okay, so again, specifically, there are things happening this week that somehow align with your soul's path, that align with your purpose, that align with what you're supposed to do here, with what you are supposed to make, or what you're supposed to be a part of, or something like that. So pay attention. Okay, don't run from it. Embrace every lesson and every moment. And again, you're at the beginning stages of this. You have the Fool, you have the Magician. So it's not as if you're supposed to be an expert in this, or like you're supposed to know everything you're supposed to do, or have everything at your disposal. You're just getting started, but you're on the right path. Okay, let's pull some more cards to see some more specific things that may come up this week. Okay. Okay. So we have surrender to prayer. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. Okay? Surrender to prayer. Then we had surrender to play. Take a break from overthinking a goal. Do something fun. Play is a time for recreation and rejuvenation. And then we have surrender to effortlessness. Stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. Okay, so in terms of specific things we got going on this week, like I said, it definitely feels like you're trying to put whatever we were talking about in terms of your soul's path, you're trying to figure that out or put that into work. If you know what that is, then pray on it in terms of praying for the resources, praying for the mentorship, praying for the tools, praying for opportunities, praying for whatever you need to continue to be alignment with where they're taking you, right? If you don't know what that is, then surrendering to prayer may look like asking. It may look like praying for answers. It may look like praying for guidance, or praying to be shown what it is that's already happening that is in alignment with that, or what it is this week that comes up, when it comes up, so that you don't miss it, right? That could be something specific that happens this week. We then have surrender to play, and I feel like this is twofold. Surrendering to play for those who are using the tools and trying to utilize new skills and things like that. Make it something that's fun. This is something that is in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. And even though it may be something that is also a part of your career or a part of work, it doesn't necessarily have to feel that way. Okay. So as you're doing it, as you're using new tools, as you're doing research, as you're talking to people or whatever it is, make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it something that doesn't feel too heavy or too serious. And if it does, then the second part of this is stop and do something else. Okay, do something that's fun, do something that has absolutely nothing to do with what you have to do or what you're trying to work on this week. Do something that takes your mind completely out of it, that allows you to just feel joy and play and to feel free. And then you can go back to whatever you're doing when you need to, or when you have had the reset that you need to, right? The rejuvenation and recreation that you need to have. Then you have surrender to effortlessness. And like I said, it doesn't, even if it is dealing with work, it doesn't have to feel like work. So allow whatever is working to flow. If something isn't working, put it to the side right now, if you're able to do that, and then come back to it later. And then when you come back to it later, you may be able to come back to it from a new perspective or a new place that allows it to be easier, right? But again, nothing that you're doing should be too hard or too serious, because it's already in alignment. You're supposed to be there. So it's not something that's supposed to feel like so taxing or so like you're drudging through what the fuck you're doing. Okay. So if it feels like something is forced, then that may not be the tool or the avenue that you're supposed to use or go through. You know what I mean? um, so just move on. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Okay. So this is what I'm getting for what specifically may come up for you this week. Let's move on to what you need the most for this week. For this last part of the reading, we are using the Trust Your Vibe cards by Sonia Choquette. So let's ask what you need the most this week. Again, we have play. Okay. You definitely need to play this week. Do not forget to have fun. Do not forget to bring lightness and joy and happiness, to take time out, to take a recess, okay, from the shit that you're doing, or to make what you're doing fun. Then we have cloak yourself in light. I love that, especially because what we're talking about is um, soul related, right? It feels like there's an aspect of this that needs you to protect it and to nurture it and to be like very motherly in a sense about it. The cloak yourself in light also to me has to do with like bubbling yourself up and bubbling up your energy. Sometimes when we're in a space of beginnings or newness and activation, we can literally, our light body can be like very active and it can draw in certain things. And so there may be a way that you need to literally protect yourself and protect your energy this week. So let's get into exactly what Sonia says in the book. I really love her explanations. So I want to read what she has to say. Okay, play. To activate your higher awareness and instantly restore good vibrations, all you need is a serious dose of recreation and playtime. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know. It's getting late. Rather than continuing to relentlessly press against the uphill battles of life, it's necessary to back off at regular intervals and do something fun. This gives your ego a break and allows your creative spirit to incubate a solution. Excuse me. All right, we're going to do this again. To activate your higher awareness and instantly restore good vibrations, all you need is a serious dose of recreation and playtime. Rather than continuing to relentlessly press against the uphill battles of life, It's necessary to back off at regular intervals and do something fun. This gives your ego a break and allows your creative spirit to incubate a solution. Having fun is not a waste of time. It allows the universe to work on your behalf while you refresh your soul, again, soul, and gain a new perspective. Play also raises your personal vibration and increases your ability to intercept divine guidance from higher realms. Albert Einstein once said that he wished he played more, while Leonardo da Vinci made it a regular daily practice. An hour or two, or even evening, a full evening or weekend of play will release your inner genius, restore your vitality, and usher in the solutions you seek. Back off, relax, enjoy, and see if a surprising outcome results. I like that. Then we have cloak yourself in light. Okay. Sadly, the world is filled with much dark, negative energy floating free in the atmosphere. Thankfully, most of this is impersonal, but nevertheless can be harmful to your spirit if you let it in. You're presently exposed to generic negative energies, possibly due to overwork, traveling too much, or simply being around too many people with inadequate time to regenerate. No matter the source of negativity, it's important to rise above it. Use your imagination and cloak yourself in protective vibrations of white light and self love every time you leave the house. Do this as a matter of course, just as you'd put on your shoes to protect your feet before stepping outside. Cloaking yourself in light deflects negative influences and prevents them from attaching to you and disturbing your peace. Don't be naive by denying the kind of energy you might be exposed to. Negativity happens. It's part of human nature and the five sensory world as a reflection of fear. So there's no point in being offended or afraid when you encounter it. Be proactive instead. Travel in your cloak of light wherever you go. And if you've been following me for a minute, especially on IG, you know I call it bubbling up or armoring yourself. And however you choose to do that, whatever it looks like, whether it's a ball or an armor or light or whatever it is, definitely make sure that you do that when you're going into public spaces, when you're leaving your house. I even call back my energy when I get off of social media because that is a portal. And so I just kind of feel it necessary and I feel better when I do it. So that may be something you want to add as well. So this is your reading pile 3 for the week. If you would like your own reading, definitely book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you haven't already, listen to our September monthly reading. Our September fairy tale reading just came out, so listen to that. We break down the Tarot of the Divine cards and the stories that are related to it. Subscribe on YouTube, like, comment, share. Let me know how your week is, how the reading is. And thank you so much for reading with me. And I will see you in the next reading.